AITA for changing every lock after my mother-in-law secretly copied our house keys and redecorated our baby's nursery while we were away. I-30F changed every lock in our house after finding out my mother-in-law, 59F, secretly copied our keys and completely redecorated our baby's nursery while my husband, 32M, and I were away for a week. My husband is on my side, but his family thinks I went too far and humiliated her over a room makeover. They keep saying she was just excited to become a grandmother, but I don't think this was about paint colors, furniture, or decorations. I think it's about someone entering our home without permission and changing something deeply personal after being told not to. For context, my husband and I are expecting our first child. I'm currently 34 weeks pregnant, and we have been preparing for our baby girl for months. This pregnancy has been a big deal for us, not just because it's our first child, but because we've had a long journey getting here. The nursery was something we were especially excited about. It wasn't some luxury designer room. It was a small spare bedroom that we slowly transformed together. We painted it ourselves. We picked out the furniture together. We spent weekends assembling things, arguing over instructions, laughing when we put something on backwards and fixing it. It became our little project before becoming parents. We had a theme we both loved: soft greens, woodland animals, and simple decorations. Nothing over the top, just calm and peaceful. My mother-in-law secretly, however, had very different ideas. From the moment we announced the pregnancy, she started acting like she was part of the parenting team. At first, I thought it was just excitement. She bought clothes. She sent baby items. She offered advice. I appreciated some of it, but she also started making comments about things that weren't her decisions. She would say, "I think you should paint the nursery pink," or "You need more decorations, babies need stimulation," or "Don't worry, Grandma will make sure this room is done properly." I always thanked her for caring but reminded her that we already had a plan. She never seemed to accept that. A few months ago, she came over and saw the nursery. She immediately criticized it. She said, "It's too plain." I told her we liked it. She said, "You'll change your mind once the baby is here." Again, I told her it was our choice. She smiled and said, "Of course, sweetheart." That phrase, "Of course," I should have known. My husband and I were going to stay with my parents for a week before the baby arrived. My parents live about 2 hours away, and we wanted some time together before the chaos of newborn life began. We also wanted to spend some quality time with my family before the baby came. Because of my pregnancy, we didn't want to travel too close to my due date. Before leaving, we asked my mother-in-law secretly to check on the house. She had a spare key. Important detail, she had that key for emergencies only, not for visiting, not for dropping by, not for decorating, not for anything else. We had given it to her because she lives closer than my parents and we thought it was practical. The conversation was very clear. "We're giving you this in case something happens, like a leak or an emergency. Please don't use it unless we call you or something is wrong." She agreed. We trusted her. That was apparently our mistake. While we were away, everything seemed normal. She texted occasionally asking how we were doing. She asked if we needed anything. Nothing seemed suspicious. We came home after a week. I was excited. I couldn't wait to see the nursery again. I walked upstairs, opened the door, and immediately knew something was wrong. The room looked completely different. The walls had been repainted. The decorations were gone. The curtains were different. The rug was different. The furniture had been moved. There were new shelves, new artwork, a giant sign saying "Grandma's Little Princess." I just stood there. I genuinely couldn't understand what I was seeing. My first thought was that maybe someone had broken in. Then I noticed a note on the changing table. It said, "Surprise, I couldn't help myself. I wanted to make sure my granddaughter had the perfect room." I felt sick. I called my husband upstairs. He looked around and immediately got angry. Not because he disliked the decorations, because he knew exactly what happened. His mother had used the key we gave her for emergencies, to enter our home when we weren't there, and completely change something we had worked on together. We called her. At first, she sounded excited. She said, "Do you love it?" I asked, "Why were you in our house?" She seemed confused. She said, "Because I had the key." I asked, "Why did you think you could come in?" She said, "Because I was helping." I told her we never gave her permission. She replied, "I knew you'd appreciate it once you saw it finished." That sentence made me furious. Because it wasn't an accident, she knew we had a different plan. She knew we hadn't asked her. She decided her vision mattered more. Then she admitted something else. She had made copies of our keys. When I asked how she got into the house while we were gone, she said, "I had a copy made after you gave me the original." I asked, "Why?" Her answer, "So I wouldn't have to bother you if I needed to get in." No, she wanted permanent access, without asking. My husband told her she had crossed a line. She started crying. She said we were making her feel like a criminal. She said she was only trying to make a memory with her first grandchild. But I couldn't get past one thing. She entered our private space without permission. She changed our baby's room without permission. She used our trust against us. The next day, my husband changed every lock in the house. Front door, back door, garage, side entrance, everything. We also installed a doorbell camera. Mother-in-law secretly found out and was furious. She said changing the locks was a dramatic punishment. She said we were treating her like a stranger. I told her, "You treated our home like it belonged to you." Now several relatives are saying we should apologize because she was excited. My husband's aunt said, "She made a nursery, she didn't burn the house down." My response was, "That's not the point." My mother-in-law secretly says she feels rejected before the baby is even born. She says I'm preventing her from being a good grandmother, but I feel like I am, protecting my home and my boundaries. Update. I honestly didn't expect so many people to comment. A lot of people said the nursery itself wasn't the issue, and they were right. At first, I kept thinking, she ruined the nursery. But after reading the comments and talking with my husband, I realized the bigger issue. She entered our home. She used a key that was given to her under specific conditions. She ignored our wishes. And then she expected gratitude because she believed her intentions mattered more than our boundaries. A few things happened after I posted. The first was that my husband had a long conversation with his mother. This was important because for years he had been the type of person who avoided conflict. He admitted afterward, "I think I've spent my whole life accepting Mom's behavior because fighting back was always harder." He told her clearly, "You were given that key for emergencies. You didn't have permission to enter our home." Her response shocked him. She said, "But I didn't do anything bad." He replied, "That doesn't matter. You did something you weren't allowed to do." She then said, "I just wanted my granddaughter to have a special room." My husband asked, "Why did you think your idea mattered more than ours?" She didn't have an answer. She just said, "Because I know these things." That was basically the entire problem. She believes experience gives her authority. It doesn't. The second update is that we discovered she had been planning this for weeks. This wasn't a spontaneous afternoon project. She had ordered furniture, bought decorations, picked paint, scheduled someone to help her move things around. She had a whole plan, which means she had plenty of time to ask. She chose not to. That hurt more than anything, because it confirmed this wasn't a misunderstanding. It was intentional. We also found out she had told family members she fixed the nursery. That word bothered me. Fixed, as if something we created together was wrong and needed correcting. My husband corrected the story with his family. He explained that she didn't surprise us with a gift. She entered our house without permission. That changed some opinions. His father actually apologized. He said he hadn't realized she had copied the keys or that we had specifically told her not to use them. He admitted he would also be upset if someone entered his home and changed things while he was away. For now, mother-in-law secretly is on a timeout. She will not have a key to our house again. She will not have unsupervised access to our home. And she will not be involved in major decisions about the baby unless we invite her. We are not saying she can never have a relationship with our daughter. We hope she can learn from this. But rebuilding trust requires more than saying, "I was only trying to help." We need her to understand. Helping is something you do when someone wants help. Taking over is something you do when you believe your opinion matters more than theirs. The nursery has been restored. We repainted the walls back to the color we chose. We put everything back where we wanted it. We removed the Grandma's Little Princess sign, not because we hate the idea of our daughter loving her grandmother, but because that room represents something important. It represents the moment my husband and I became parents. It represents the home we are creating for our child. And that is something we wanted to do together. The baby isn't here yet, but we already learned an important parenting lesson. Being family does not mean having unlimited access. Trust is earned. Boundaries exist for a reason. And no one gets a spare key to your life just because they love you.